And then I was like, no more artichokes. Can't. Done.
But beef curtains.
There's the start of the episode.
Really redefines why Iron Man was so focused on going and getting shawarma after the fight.
Stop. Shawarma was a metaphor.
Shawarma and unwind.
You've heard of Netflix and chill. Now it's time for shawarma and welcome everybody.
Oh God.
Tastiness in abundance. It's the Black Tower Podcast. And we're spilling the taint. Oh, speaking of spilling the taint, I've got some taint to spill. You guys remember that whole taint thing that I do where I make the Dark Ones taint, and it's been really great, and it's been fermenting, and it's all awesome.
Don't tell me you fucking molded again.
My blender died.
Oh yeah. Oh okay, that makes
so. R.I.P. to my blender. We do have shot glasses in our merch store, by the way, New Creations by Jen. This is not one of them because I can't find that shot glass. I think I might have dropped it when I was tainted. So RIP, my blender. The new one is coming tomorrow, and I paid way too much for it. Slanja!
Hopefully you went with like a ninja.
Oh! What is that? Oh!
You poured it.
Yeah, I grabbed the bottle and just went for it. That is apple cider whiskey. I feel like more of a man right now. Woo! My tummy is warm.
Happy. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Black Tower Podcast, a Wheel of Time podcast, where we talk things about wheels and times that have come and already came, and hopefully will come again. If you dare to go where no man has gone before. And you might enjoy us if you also like flapping beef curtains and shawarma. And
I love that Reese is putting all of her highly inappropriate comments in our private chat. No, Reese, you don't get to hide from the public anymore.
Look.
Oh, look, I'm from North Harbor Podcast, where we're all just so happy and nice to everyone. Nope, not anymore. I've got screenshots.
I have a thing for this. I have a thing for this. I can do a thing.
Do the thing.
I can do it really quick. Hold on.
Do it. Yeah, get it. What's up now?
We finally have our blackmail to use against Reese.
We're gonna call that Reese's intrusive thoughts.
That'll be the name of the chat. No, we need a message board in our Discord. That's
a new Patreon level. Sorry. Good luck.
I suppose we could do that on our forum, on our website. But speaking of that, good news. We have a spammer in our website forum. Hey.
Oh yeah, I think I saw like the email chain, and I was busy at work, and I meant to look at it later, and then I forgot.
$1 million. Click the link and give head to a Nigerian prince. Like, let's go. Let's do this.
How boring of a bot programmer do you have to be for it to go out and find our forum on our website that I don't think has seen a post in like 2 to 3 years, and you're like,
this is
where I'll get them. Yeah, like this is the place. This is where we'll get them. This is where we'll rake in our millions of dollars.
These guys are
BlackTowerPod.com forums that have had zero activity for the past 2.5 to 3 years. Like, what the fuck?
If you've never listened to us before, hi, I'm Josh. I'm the Sora von Mahale. But if you haven't listened to us before, you know that already. Sorry, I waited. This is going to be chaos tonight. Sorry, go ahead, Reese. I apologize.
But I'm the eighth on Mahale. That's all. That's all I got.
The audio-only listeners are never going to get it.
They're never going to get it.
Never
I
gonna
just
get
grab
I'm
it.
a Smurf.
I am
If he was
holding.
jiggly and turned inside out.
it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hmm.
You ever seen those videos where they take a sponge, cut it in half, put it in a Pringles tube, and cover it in a latex glove with some
No.
Vaseline?
Oh yeah, and then it's like how to make a popsicle or something stupid. It's like
Yeah. Or
You're
it's like
not-
one of the
Check
old
out
one of the
this
old plastic
popsicle.
ones. One of the old plastic ones so you could squeeze it and it would inflate the middle finger on the glove and you're like, oh, that's what it's for. And you're like,
yeah.
well, then why was the sponge and the Vaseline there?
Mm-hmm.
Also, for some reason, that just, I mean, maybe it's because it's petroleum based. That just sounds like it would burn.
It would.
I'm Andrew. I'm your Bison Mahale. I like to think about if the lube is going to burn before we use it
It is an
to make the
important.
taint an easier experience.
It is an important conversation to have.
With yourself.
Yeah, especially if you've been cutting like hot peppers. You don't want to put your fingers in your eye or other places if you've been cutting spicy peppers. I know because I make hot sauce. Which, by the way,
because
I
that one
realized
time at college,
I realized I left that a little open. The hot sauce is fine. The taint sauce is fine. The peppers are tainty. The new blender is coming in the mail tomorrow.
It sure is.
Because I spent way too much on the new blender. And of course, that meant I didn't have one locally. So I had to order online. And that is going to make some great hot sauce. And JordanCon's going to be great, which, by the way, when this episode goes live is Friday morning at JordanCon, right?
Woo! Mail order blenders at Jordan.
Oh, happy freaking JordanCon! What?
Woo!
Get it, shake it, baby. Shake it, baby.
And look, I just want everybody to know. I know this might seem small, but most people
fucking
call
shake
it
that
average.
thing at me.
There's a lot of jokes about the size of your hands right now, Reese.
Sure, my
All I
hand.
can,
That's the
I can
size
think of
you're
is-
looking at.
all I can think of is Deadpool now. I bet it looks huge in the sand.
Now that we have chased off all the people who are easily
Maybe
offended,
that's just like
That's
an additional
a
floaty, like for men.
T, maybe. I don't
It's
know.
just an extra floaty for men, you know. You got the wing, you got the arm floaties, and you got the other floaty, just
The
to make
other
sure that you
floaty.
can. Yeah, you don't want to drown.
oh my god,
The
You
lady
don't want your best buddy
floaties
to drown.
too. The hells of Tanchico. You know.
you guys ready? SAIDIN, I am channeling Sidin. That's the Watt Idol parody right there. That's gonna win.
I feel like you've started like 17 of those.
Dude, 1,700.
I have a bunch started as well.
But see, the thing is, Reese and I are too smart. It's just not fair for other people. So the gods were like, you know what? ADD. We can't. These people will rule the world.
Anyway, we're gonna get into the episode. Oh man, I'm sure they'll love to be the spoiler warning played immediately after all of that. Here's your spoiler warning for this episode.
Eat
It's
the
Kate and
spoiler
Michael.
warning.
This episode contains spoilers from the entire Wheel of Time series.
If you have not read the series, you are at risk of being spoiled.
You have been warned.
Oh.
Okay, I can do this.
If you want to get to hear all of the clips, all the stuff that gets edited out, you should go over to blacktowerpod.com and click the button that says patron.
Oh god.
Bruh.
I mean, okay, what I was trying to say before.
How many people do you think would be angry if we actually did that? Like, how much shit do you think we'd get in if we all went out and got the perfect wigs?
Oh god.
Just did a whole hour. Just.
Oh god.
Why does it seem
We
like
need
there
to
was
go
like
to Cameo.
a massive cut of content from like your last episode? Wow.
Weird. Normally they're like 90 minutes long. What's wrong with this one? Why is it only 45 minutes long?
Can't imagine what happened. I paid my taxes.
because
Clearly,
Robert
the
Jordan.
madness already has him.
Well, clearly the madness already has us as well.
Oh, yeah.
No, Robert Jordan wrote a story that's so damn relatable. But what if, like, okay, so question, like we already sort of, like, we halfway vindicated Elida, right? Like, she sucks. We don't like her, but we do also know that she was under the influence of the Shadar Logoth dagger.
I don't know.
Dagger,
Vindication's an
dagger.
awful strong word.
I said partial vindication.
Oh, okay. I
Partial.
didn't hear the partial part.
Yeah, partial. Because she still sucks, but the parts of the dagger that accent that distrust and paranoia and things like that, those pieces of that evil that resided within Shadar Logoth were able to take root in her heart because she is ambitious and paranoid and she plays the game, right? So yeah, Elida sucks, but there's magic, there's physics inside the story that make her suck more. Tonight's
yeah, they do.
topic is very relatable because
Turbo mode on the old Dyson.
what if some of the male characters that really stand out in the story, what if they can channel and they just don't know? Okay, I'm going to present. So first, just real quick as a recap as to sort of the intro into this. During all of our flicker scenes, the famous flicker, 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 flicker,
Flicker, I barely know her.
Hey! And if you want our Flicker, Flicker, Flicker shirt, it is also on sale at New Creations by Jen. All you have to do is go to our website, www.blacktowerpod.com, and it's right there. I just put it in the chat. But Brand lives 1,000 lifetimes, and in the majority of those, he has no idea he can channel. See, we've got a review right here, a 5-star review from He Who Comes with the Wine, who has that shirt.
It'd be like on brand for our reviews. Like, what do you think of our shirt? I have it.
I have that one. No, but Rand lives 1,000 lifetimes, and in a vast majority of those, he never realizes he can channel. He is very, very lucky. He seems to know when it's gonna rain. He seems to know when things are gonna happen. But people just kind of assume he's in tune. He's real smart. He's got a talent as a farmer. As a soldier, in certain lifetimes he leaves and he becomes a soldier. He follows in his father's footsteps and becomes a soldier in Camelin. There are other stories where he stays in the Two Rivers until Trollocs overwhelm the land in Tarmangaiden because there's no dragon reborn to help them. There are stories where he leaves the Two Rivers, and I think there's one example where he leaves the Two Rivers to become a guard in Camelin. He works there for years. He realizes he can channel, and he starts using it sparingly. He becomes a blade master. He goes to fight at Tarmangaiden, and there's just so many examples of Rand living lives as a normal person and never knowing he can channel and dying young of some disease that nobody can cure. And it's the madness.
Syphilis.
So one of sort of the inspiration for this is we are, as the Black Tower podcast, doing our What reread. And this month is Crossroads of Twilight. And there's a lot of Masema in this book. And so this thought kind of came to me like, what if Masema can channel? Like, obviously he wouldn't know that he could channel, but the dude's insane. Okay. So he's in the Borderlands. He fights. He's living a hard life. And he seems to be the one that sort of twists this mental fortitude that the soldiers across the Borderlands have all seemed to adopt. And he just, when Perrin can smell him, he says he just smells insane. He's just insane. The guy's crazy. And he has a singular focal point, which is that he is the prophet of the dragon. Now, he doesn't behave as the prophet of the dragon and has no interest in meeting Rand, as evidenced by the fact that when Perrin comes up and says, hey, Rand wants you to see him now, I'm going to make a gateway and we're going to go right now. He's like, absolutely not. Like, I wonder if his insanity is a result of channeling and the taint on Sidene. Your thoughts?
I think it could be. I feel like this is one of those things that's like way more prevalent. It's just not talked about a lot, so people don't notice it. I mean, even now we have a lot of illnesses like that where it's like they're very common, but people don't talk about them. So it seems pretty rare. And I feel like, I mean, Mishima, addition to a lot of other characters, can fit into this category of like, might have been a channeler and could explain some issues.
Yeah, and the other thing is people are so afraid of it
Mm.
that they'll see literally anything else
Yep.
before they see.
Yeah,
A man
explain
who
it
can
away. Yeah, you can explain it away however you want.
And as we've learned in, especially when we get into the story of the Black Tower, most men who can channel kind of go, yeah, I kind of thought I could, but the last thing I wanted to do was talk about it with anyone.
So, with that, we know that because the taint is the Dark One's own, he is able to shield his followers from it. He can basically filter it off as long as they're drawing the power
For them.
basically through him.
Right.
Do you think he can do the inverse and amplify it on individuals as well?
Ooh.
Hmm.
Like, can he flex the right muscle and kind of push a little more taint at him, or kind of constrict the flow or the amount of actual Sidene, but not restrict the flow of the taint, so that let's say that Mishima could learn to channel and is embracing the source unknowingly and this kind of stuff, and he's basically only getting the negative
It would
effects of
behoove
it.
the Dark One push more taint onto that channeler. I feel like
Well-
just the fact that the Forsaken aren't affected by the taint lends more, evidence to that. He could.
I'm going to go back and forth on this one. I'm going to actually say probably not, because if the Dark One could focus fire, why wouldn't he? Well, why wouldn't he focus fire on Rand
Yeah.
and just take him out of the equation
Some
early?
of it, rather than having them channel Sidene, they're channeling the true power instead. So that kind of negates the taint. They're using a different power rather than using the tainted power. So I wonder if,
Well, for the Forsaken, most of them are using regular Sidene. They haven't
Okay.
been granted access to the true power yet, with the exception of Ishi. And I think there's like Lanfear gets a brief use of it. I think Cimarron gets a brief use of it. And in the last battle, like it's almost like half opened to all of the remaining chosen, kind of to throw everything at Rand. I would posit that he does try to focus fire of the taint against Rand, and it comes through in bubbles of evil. That there's something about his Tavira nature that warps the ways in which the Dark One can reach him. So it's not going to be as easily directable, I guess, if that makes sense. Plus, he's already learned to kind of control his own channeling after a point, just like with his dreams and stuff. Once he learns to like guard his dreams, Lanfear and the other Forsaken can no longer like invade his dreams. So he's already kind of learned to kind of like kind of control it for himself and to a degree safeguard himself. But someone like, if Mishima could channel and has no idea, would never have a reason to even explore that kind of safeguarding, much less do it, especially with Forsaken already leaning on and pushing on him to do as much insanity as he can.
Well, and we've discussed in the past that the taint, the insanity from the taint manifests itself in different ways. For was it Narishma? I think it was Narishma. He would see Murdral in every shadow, right? And he got very, very just terrified. He would see Murdral in the shadows. Andral had a similar issue with darkness and shadow. Rand, of course, had memories of a previous life that didn't exist. And
Which, by the way, I was rewatching season 1, episode 1 of the show, and I love. We're introducing a new watcher,
ooh, okay.
and I really enjoyed the line from Tam Rand is asking about like how long until a soul is, you know, returned out into the pattern, and Tam is answering him, and he says, I'm sure there's, he goes, not everyone, you know, we can't remember our past lives, and I have to assume there's a reason for that.
Oh.
And it's just such a like key line that you don't think of if you're not listening, but when you hear it, you're like, yeah, I have to assume there is a reason.
I
Way to
mean,
go,
yeah,
Matt.
look at like how experiencing alternative lives affects. Well, they do a really good job at showing it in the show because they also made it a bit different in the show. Surprise! But how the show shows Nynaeve after her accepted testing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and if you didn't realize, like, or if you had no if you didn't have any indication that like this entire time we've been watching that she's still been struggling with what happened during that test. Whenever Egwene is invading everybody's privacy and just going into everybody's dream, and she goes into Nynaeve. Nynaeve
But
is there
it's
with her
so
daughter
sweet.
from, yeah, you know, until she sees something she doesn't want to see.
Oopsie
Because
doopsie.
God forbid we let them just grow apart and not make Rand out to be a philanderer, horrible person
How
again.
dare you?
Anyway,
He's a lecher.
that's not this episode. That episode's coming up in a couple weeks.
Hey.
But yeah, so and kind of the other thought that I had is while there are times that Rand has a lot of dark friends and Forsaken that are like right near him, it's markedly less than a lot of our other individuals that wind up either being working for the Shadow or being heavily manipulated by the Shadow. Like Masima has some member of the Forsaken and dark friends around him like all the time. Because that thing is like it never made sense to me how rapidly he went from fuck you two rivers to like beyond obsessive fervent religious following. Like it never made sense to me, and of course part of it is, you know, explained by the influence of the Forsaken pushing him to do stuff, you know, perhaps like more mild events of manipulation and compulsion, to a degree
He's
against Masima.
frenzied. Like he seems almost frenzied when he gets to it, and so I feel like, yeah, that like madness interfering almost makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and we know that the Dark Ones, one of the actual, well stated, clearly defined designs of the Dark One is to sow discord. Like anything they can do to prevent people from uniting is what they're going to do.
One of the other
Yeah.
characters I always wondered on is Galad. And I mean, you've got the relationship, the blood relationship with Rand. But I always wondered this in the fight with is it Valda? When he's having the big fight for
Yeah.
okay, there's a line during this battle where in the books it says something about him listening to the flap of the fly's wings. It like makes a reference to something very minute that you would not normally notice. But it is an experience that is often attributed to those who are grasping the one power, where they notice those tiny, minute things because they're experiencing the world in a whole different perception. And when that came up in that battle, I always remember thinking, can he channel?
Did he just touch the source?
And how amazing that would be, because somebody like Galad would never, ever think of that as being a possibility. It would be so far outside of the realm of possibility for him that he would never even consider it as being something happening to him. So how would somebody like that take that experience? And I mean, with the way the books go, he could go on without ever knowing, because it ends up being cleansed before he has touched it enough to really taint him.
Okay, and this actually is an example that I really am glad you brought up, because I wanted to, not only did I want to discuss like the madness of it, right, but also that there are benefits of being a channeler. And they talk about Galad as being extremely talented with a sword. And Galad and Gawain practice together daily. And Galad can thump Gawain up and down the practice yard without even breaking a sweat all day, every day. And they get to a point where Galad
Well, in the
is
books.
in the books. Yes, we're discussing the book, and we get to the point too where Galad is sparring with the instructors at the White Tower, the guys who teach warders how to fight, and Galad is beating them. Like there's it. I hate to be the guy that's like you can't have a talent or a skill without magic, right? But also we're currently in a world, in a universe in which if someone has a talent or a skill, it's usually based somewhere in magic. So if Galad is a channeler, but remember the other thing that Galad has is a compulsion to quote unquote do the right thing. Like it is literally, I think it's I would say Galad is like autistic, right? Like I don't want to tell a lie. I don't want to lie or cover the truth. I will tell the truth even if it gets me in trouble because he's not picking up on the social cue of, bro, why are you ratting us out? Right?
Mhm.
So I'd say there's a good case to be made there that like Galad is autistic. But also, is it autism or is it the Dark One's taint manifesting itself in a way that causes discord for Elaine? She hates him because of this.
Yeah.
I
And
do.
also, I thought this would be like a really great, there were those like spin-offs planned should, RJ have continued going. And I always thought this would have been a great one to have full spoilers, Lord Captain Commander be able to channel. What a story. What a story finding out
fuck.
that, oh my gosh, this isn't that bad. And having to rewrite your entire history based off of that. That's kind of
Well,
that's a fun spin-off.
and well, so two things with that too. At that point in time, Sidene is cleansed, right? Now, how much people believe that? But also, what is it? What is one of his first acts as Lord Captain Commander? He says, "Not all Aes Sedai are dark friends. That has to change. We have to change our way of thinking because if we're going to get through Tarman Gaiden, we're going to need all the help we can get, and that means fucking magic users."
What if the Black Tower ends up just combining with the children and it just ends up being like the children of the Black Tower? There you go. There's your
but
fourth age. There's your fourth age.
like, can you
Mashup.
imagine? Can you imagine too? Like, let's go fourth age, right? Let's fast forward. Galad leading the Children of the Light. Sidene is cleansed. The Black Tower is thriving, and all of a sudden, someone looks up one day and goes, "Galad fought in Tarman Gaiden." Yeah, Galad fought in Tarman Gaiden when my grandfather was a child. Yeah.
Galad is still here.
Galad's like 400 years old. Yeah. And he looks like he's 30.
Oh right.
Oh shit!
Galad's fourth age. What's her name?
Cad Swain.
Yeah, thank you. There you go.
Except for Cad Swain is more annoying than Galad.
Right now. Think
I
of
can't believe they
Galad
made her
once
the
he
Aquaman.
learns that he can channel and it's not that
Oh.
bad.
I can't believe they made her Amerlin. I'll bet the White Tower is going to be insufferable in the Fourth Age.
I mean, they didn't really have that many alternative options at the time. What, just another Aes Sedai whose name starts with S?
Honestly, she was the one who was gonna die soonest, so
You know, you make a good point. Well spoken. Well spoken. Let's see, who else? What other male characters seem to have an inordinate amount of luck and or insanity that are not Tiberian?
have one.
You have one.
Almond Bunt.
Almond fucking Bunt.
He's Tavern if I ever saw.
But can he channel?
Maybe.
Is he Taviran or is he just caught in Rand's Taviran web? Oh.
Maybe. He does keep showing up. Perhaps a bit of both. Taviran intermingling.
Well, the first time he meets, he gets tied to both Rand and Matt. So it is possible that he's just stuck in their web. Now, as a channeler, I don't know that Almond Bunt's a channeler. He just seems to be like a regular Joe that got caught up in the action.
Repeatedly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like twice.
No, he's like in there like 3 or 4 times, isn't he? Because
No,
he gives
them
Rand and Matt
he gives
a
them the
ride.
first ride into Kyrian,
Yeah.
and then like way later on, they come across him from like the apple fields.
Yeah. Well, when
That's like
after Rand becomes Bodhisattva Rand.
Yeah, it's like that's the whole cool thing about Almond Bunt, kind of like in the callback way, is it's like, oh, we hadn't seen this guy since Eye of the World. Now here's Rand in his like uber like fucking Bodhisattva mind going, I remember you.
Oh, I shall bless your apple.
You once gave me a ride when I was in need. Now I will give you a ride for all your apples.
Almond's like, cool story, bro. Where's my fucking apples, Mr. Savior of the Universe?
Give me my fucking apple.
Former Queen Morghase's squeeze, you're gonna have to be a little more specific.
Yeah, which one? Robin?
Tom,
Robin could definitely channel. Like, it's not even a debate. That dude could
I
channel.
don't know that I put Ravine in that same category though.
So, okay. What about Talmanas? Could he channel or was he just caught up in Matt's luck?
Ooh. And we've done a background breakdown on Talmanas, and I love Talmanas. I'm a Talmanas fanboy. But I've never once considered could he channel? Huh.
I'm not gonna lie. So far, the dude that was part of the guard,
Gareth Bryn?
Talonvor.
Oh,
Talonvor. No,
Yeah.
Talonvor's kind of a punk. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a loyal punk, but he's like,
Yeah.
he's obviously like cougar bait. He's got a thing for this cougar of a woman, and he's like, I promise with this sword in my hands to be loyal to Morghese.
I bet he's wearing gray sweatpants. I'm just throwing it out there.
I would also.
So far, like I would attribute like about 90% of the stuff we've talked about to the pull of Taviran over the other stuff. I think there's potentially a good case for Galad overall, potentially.
You don't
I'm
think
not sure.
Massima could channel?
Massima, I don't. The thing that like they're all kind of missing is they get into direly desperate moments, and there's nothing uniquely impossible that happens in those moments. Like Massima doesn't have a sudden surge of power or luck. People don't get blasted away. Lightning doesn't fall around him. Everything that's happened with every other channeler, which again, it could happen to 99 out of 100 people and not happen to the 100th person. That's absolutely a potential reality. It could be that Massima was like had some kind of weird shielding on him that only allowed the taint to filter through, but not any of regular Sidene. Who the fuck knows? It seems like something a chosen would do when they're trying to get the fervent religious follower guy to keep going even more insane, and he just keeps going, hey, guy that's supposed to be really good friends with this person here that's really good friends with the guy that I swear I follow, you should kill him. Oh shit, that didn't work. Hey, other people, you should kill the best friend of the Dragon Reborn. He's actually not a friend of the Dragon Reborn.
Bring me their ears on a necklace. That should also please me.
Yeah.
I brought that bitch an ear on a necklace. Bitches love ears on necklaces.
You got an ear necklace. The better to hear you with, my darling. So I could see that, but Galad, I mean, he gets in like one of the most desperate situations. I mean, if there was a time to fucking channel, and you're watching your brother put on a third fucking death cock ring on his finger, and fighting Demand Dread, and you're both getting fucking spanked almost effortlessly, it's probably a good fucking time.
Okay, but how many times during the book The Dragon Reborn or even The Great Hunt does Rand try to do something and can't, even in a dire situation?
I could ask
That's the
the
difference.
same of Nynaeve.
They know they can do it, and they're actively trying to do it. It's their knowledge of what they can or might be able to do is also kind of getting in the way of
See,
them being able to do it because they're so distraught and so desperate that they can't.
I
They're
think
trying to actively think of the process to do something while being too jittery to read the paper.
I think Galad makes the most sense in this instance in that he would never consider that channeling would be an option. Like, I almost feel like he would be his own block because he would like see an option available to him and think that is completely illogical and literally block it off himself. I truly
Huh.
believe that Galad
Because
would
of
block himself because that is not a normal thing. And
his
he would just be like,
compulsion to,
that's not true.
always do what's right, and obviously a man channeling is wrong. So
Yeah. If he like got the
that's
inkling to be like, yeah, but I could burn all of these Trollocs to a crisp, he would be like, no, I cannot. Why would you ever think that?
well, and it goes back to what you were saying when he was dueling Valda at the beginning of not Path of Daggers, Knife of Dreams, right? He has that moment where his sort of consciousness is expanded, his senses are heightened, and it is in that moment a life and death situation. Now we don't get a description of Sidene filling him and molten hot searing life burning away his bones and freezing his blood. But,
At the same time, Rand
neither,
learned how to channel with the flame in the void from Tam.
which would have been something that Galad, some
Probably
kind of
learned
meditation,
as well.
yeah, some kind of meditation practice that would have learned. And we
Like
do have
getting
interviews. Go ahead.
I was gonna say getting kind of outside of the wheel of time. Like I have used the flame of the in the void when I have insomnia. I'm trying to fall asleep. I will use that technique to try and fall asleep. So I can imagine someone in the wheel of time using that
It
as a
it
way to
is a
focus their battle technique. You
it
know?
is a legitimate, meditative technique,
Mhm.
which is, and we do have Robert Jordan answering interviews saying that it is meditation, and that if someone had a different method of sort of emptying their thoughts, it would still work. It doesn't have to be a rosebud. It doesn't have to be the
Oh,
flame in the void. That's just the ones that
I need
Randon.
to I need to point out our chat here a little bit. We've got a couple good.
Mm.
We've got okay.
Tom Maryland. He found a way to hide it and not go mad, which had to his sorrow, which happened to his nephew. He could have helped him, but the Red Aja found him and said, "Oh," and that's Tom Maryland. Could Tom Maryland channel?
I will admit I had never considered that, but boy, does it make sense.
He
The amount of times that man gets himself out of a I mean, you could argue that it is just, good sense, good street sense, but especially with a nephew that can also channel, I had never considered this. This is a
the,
good
the
theory.
lineage is a thing, yeah.
I like
I,
this.
I think I'm going to say no, simply because Tom is repeatedly annoyed by being involved in the story, right? He repeatedly is just like, "Oh my God, go away! No, not you anymore." And he
But what
doesn't
if he could learn?
ever.
Like maybe it wasn't natural, but what if he could learn and just, given his experiences, he completely blocked it off?
Well, okay, hold on. There is a point in time in which maybe this is valid because when he's guarding the cave, when he's guarding the opening at Shale Ghul, and it talks about him, assassinating all of the.
Mhm. He's just sitting there, sitting and humming and
All
playing
the
with his thumbs,
impersonators,
and then all of a sudden, stab, and they're done.
and then his description is they walked just a little bit different. Like
Mhm.
his senses were so on high alert. Maybe.
Maybe
I think he's
Tom
less
is
likely of the list we've developed so far. I think he's the least likely.
Tom is very observant without the power. I'll say that. I will admit that I am one of those strange people that actually saw him in Moraine in the books. I saw it before it happened. It did not surprise me when it came about. I was like, yeah, okay, I see that. So there are some subtleties of Tom that might not necessarily have to do with the power.
Right.
However, maybe.
Maybe. Well, and I do like what Wolf Brother said in the chat. Tom knows just how much to channel to make his knives fly true, but not abnormally true.
Hmm.
And I kind of like that because that's reminiscent of the detective in Constantine, where she's like, I've always known where to shoot. I've always known where to look. I've always known blah, blah. And it's just like her psychic power that she's been like uh, dampening to try and like fit in with normal people and not see the
And
agents
you
of
know,
hell bleeding through.
that was one of the things that I kind of noticed with Tom and Maureen early on
Yeah.
is I want to say it was the at the ferry at Tarrant Ferry. I can't remember. He makes some like witty comment, and Robert Jordan has Maureen kind of like in the background where everybody else misses it, but Moraine doesn't. And it's because, you know, they both follow that like subtlety of the game of houses. And
Yeah.
I felt
Oh, yeah.
that kind of where the two of them met and
I-
where their romance, whether you see it or not, was the game of houses. It was so subtle that they
I
were
absolutely
interested. And
I
I like
absolutely, I absolutely love the Tom and Moraine storyline. I love it because, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, that came out of nowhere. Oh my god, that was so dumb." It's just like all of a sudden it's shoehorned in there, and I'm like, two of the most enigmatic and secretive people in existence happened to fall in love and have a whole ass relationship that you didn't know about,
and you're surprised.
and you're like,
This is textbook Moraine and
so on
Tom, of
brand.
course. Yeah, yeah.
It's so
I
on
always
brand
like
for
that too.
them.
I remember thinking that like very early on, like Tom said something and Moraine laughed, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
And if they could both channel, they'd be drawn together. They would.
Could you imagine
Also,
if Moraine and Tom had found each other earlier on? The duo that they would have been?
maybe,
There's
maybe,
an episode.
maybe they did.
Yes.
Andrew, you were researching something
We
pretty
hope.
intensely.
Well, I
What did
mean,
you
you,
what did
you
you
have to
what do
read to
your elf
find something
eyes
in the.
see?
You have to read like through the words to find something in the book. So it wasn't like that intense. Like I've had to look a
and,
lot harder for a lot less.
and Andrew
No,
never learned to read.
yeah, yeah. It's a wonder I got in the Air Force and didn't get sent to the Marine Corps as a waiver baby.
That's right.
No, like I was just curious about the more so the verbiage with the Gallatin and Valda fight
Oh,
and
okay.
like where it happened in it and kind of how it was worded. Because I mean, I couldn't remember it like right off the bat, so I wanted to look at it. And I mean, like, yeah, I do interpret it a little differently, but I think I think it's fair to interpret it like kind of either way. So because I
It's
mean,
definitely
because he talks about he can hear flies buzzing 10 feet away as if they were in his ear. So they're
yeah.
not that far away, and there's multiple, potentially a bunch of them. And again, this is me reading it like from the playing devil's advocate point of view. I'm deliberately trying to poke holes
Yeah.
in people channeling. Then he's like, because this is following right after Bayer telling Dane to not distract Gallad, and Gallad's like, Gallad was not distracted. It's like it's a whole paragraph about how much he's paying attention and how he's dealing with things that would be distracting. Like, yeah, he can hear the flies buzzing almost as if they're in his ear. He almost thought he could see the movements of their wings. He was one with the flies, with the courtyard, with the two men. They were all part of him, and he cannot be distracted by himself.
I
So I think
That.
I think that's his training. That's like, hey, you don't have to worry. Like everything that you would find in a battlefield that would distract you in a moment of needing clarity, absorb it into yourself and let it go. Much like you would practice, like flame in the void. Like let all your emotions speed it into the flame and let
I
it go.
think that I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
wow.
Because
Reese is passionate. She's about to interrupt people.
no, you're fine. Because again, like for Tam teaching Rand the flame in the void for archery and everything, like this isn't like the concept of the oneness and the flame in the void isn't a new concept to archers and people of the like, it seems to be amongst the trained individuals a relatively common, though done in different forms, methodology of focusing on what's important in the moment, letting what would normally distract you or cause you to lose focus kind of go and get rid of it. And to me, that's just what Gallet is doing here. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is like the most important thing I have to do right now. I'm going to take everything in that could distract me, take it in as part of as part of myself, and kind of let it go. Because if I'm one with everything around me, then everything around me is me, and I can't distract myself.
And see, this is where I kind of wondered, like, there's a normal level of this type of concentration, of this type of meditation with, battle tactics. How do you focus? How do you, but with Galad, like, for the average swordsman, I don't think they hear a fly buzzing 10 feet away. I think that Galad has kind of become accustomed to this because this is normal for him. And this is where my kind of theory comes from. He thinks it's normal. He discounts it completely because this is just part of his focus for getting into a battle. But perhaps the next fighter would be like, I need to focus. I will not consider the light shining in my eyes from this degree. And Galad's like, oh, I never even considered that. I was thinking about how those flies from 10 feet away were really annoying with their buzzing. And the next fighter is like, what? I didn't even know there were flies. And it's just, everybody kind of gets their own base level of this is how I need to get in my headspace for a battle. And Galad has just taken this as like, this is normal for me, but it turns out it's not actually normal. He needs to block out a whole bunch more because he can channel.
So for Galad, my counter to that would be, in the moment, it's not a singular fly. It's multiple.
It's all of them. You can hear all the flies.
Okay.
Yeah. All the flies across the road. And with that, there's several times in the books where people are talking about how they're walking past the horse lines or the stables, and they're 10 feet or more away, assumably. There's not like, I walked 10.5 feet exactly away from the horse stables. So, like, yeah, they could be closer, but I think they're more likely just walking by, and they talk about how they can hear the buzzing of flies around, like, the piles of manure or around the dung piles and stuff like that. So, I think it's one of those things, like, he says, I could hear flies. There could have been 2. There could have been 10. If there's 10, then, okay, it makes sense that they could hear him. Whenever I read it, and again, deliberately looking at it from a position of trying to use it to say he's not a channeler.
Right.
I read it more as it's talking about, like, this is such a tense and important moment. That's how quiet it is in the dome of truth. That everybody is just super silent watching this fight because everybody knows Valda is a blade master, a confirmed, marked, got it on his sword, Heron marked blade. This dude is a blade master through and through. Galen, while not currently a blade master, well,
I can't even believe it.
Never mind.
Take a drink.
Galen, did I freeze or something?
You froze, yeah.
Oh, shit. Damn, y'all didn't freeze for me. Y'all, like, it's been freezing on my side like this whole time. But anyway, so Gawain killed Hamar, so Galad's not the Blade Master from that. Galad hasn't defeated any other Blade Masters, but everybody knows that, like, on an average day, Galad is better than his brother Gawain, and Gawain has defeated it. Well, I don't think they know that Gawain has defeated a Blade Master, but you're watching like it's like watching the first Undertaker versus Kane match at WrestleMania. You're like, who the fuck is gonna win? Like, this guy doesn't really lose. This guy doesn't really lose. Like, who the fuck's gonna win?
What happens when an
it's super
immovable
quiet
object meets?
And to me, like, Bayer is the one that illustrates that point the most right before the paragraph about the flies, and looking at Dane and being like, fucking don't distract him. But Galad's already moving into that same mental space that has allowed him to best his brother and best like the warder trainers, even like when he really needs it, getting into that space of absolute focus of becoming one with the world around him, taking in what could be distracting, and then just accepting that it is and letting it go through you like it isn't there and it doesn't matter. It's just a part of you, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because my thing is like, how many times have you ever like heard a sound and almost felt like you could see like something in the distance? Like,
Well,
oh, I think I hear, and now that I can't think of a good fucking example, so
well, there
maybe not,
is
but
actually a really great example of this in Origins of the Wheel of Time. Dr. Michael Livingston talks about the time that Robert Jordan, as a helicopter gunner, shot an RPG out of the sky. Okay? In case you
oh yeah,
didn't hear that, the time that someone leveled an RPG, fired
you could
it
hear the flies 10 feet away
at
from the helicopter.
at the helicopter that Robert Jordan was currently firing bullets out of. He saw the grenade being propelled by a rocket in his general direction and went brrr, and shot it out of the sky. An RPG is about the size of a football.
I mean, he's using 7.62. If you really want to impress me, pull,
Okay,
pull
but
out the
point
22
being,
revolver. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's fucking nuts.
just start
For the
seeing,
average
like,
Aes Sedai, it's still
You-
impressive.
He
the
puts
stupid
down the
little-
fucking M60 mounted on the helicopter and pulls out like his service fucking Colt 45, and it's just like,
the yeah, you could be like those idiot sword bros that like to talk about the katana is the greatest sword ever invented. Katana's a piece of shit. Stop it. Shut up. You guys suck. But he talks about because people interviewed him and asked him about that, and he was, as he is, he's a very humble individual. He was a very humble man. Didn't like to brag about it, and would tell people, "Oh, I just, just got lucky." And when pressed, he was finally able to. He finally kind of divulged that, hey, you're in that moment. You've got adrenaline pumping just right. Things are happening, and you're in that moment, and everything lines up, and you see everything with perfect clarity. Now, I'm going to venture a guess that Robert Jordan did not know how to channel. It's just a guess. I don't know for sure, but he wrote this scene with Galad. I'm going to venture a guess that he wrote this scene with Galad very much from the mindset of his younger self in the helicopter in that moment, which actually, and I hate to say it because Reese just left, but which actually kind of goes to a point in your favor, Andrew. Like, it's not necessarily channeling, it's just heightened focus that one can attain in a desperate enough situation.
well, it's focus unlike any other swordsman in the books. Galad also unlike any other swordsman in the books.
Well, except land.
Well, right. So there's a good point to be made that also like Gawain beats Hamer, and Galad always generally always beats Gawain, but you can't assume that means that Galad beats Hamar because there are a multitude of other variables. So like I've seen people make the discussion that like Galad was on equal footing with Valda or Galad was better than Valda. No, he wasn't. Valda was better than Galad. What did Valda in was his fucking arrogant. Valda was far more arrogant than Galad was. That's one thing I will give Galad. Galad can do a lot of things,
Yeah.
and his push for doing the right thing always is annoying, but I don't recall ever seeing a scene of Galad acting out of arrogance or being super arrogant.
True.
Confident, sure. Arrogant, I don't. Because when they're fighting, he only hits Balda once before the fatal blow.
Right.
Balda's tearing his ass up.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, Galad doesn't beat Valda by pure, like, overwhelming skill tactics. Galad beats him by using Valda's arrogance about his status as a blade master against
Right.
Galad against him, feigns being more tired than he is from his wounds, and in the moment where Valda expected Galad's attack patterns to continue in the more sluggish way that he had changed them to, Galad switched it up, went really fast, faster than Valda expected, caught him off guard, and killed him.
Yeah.
Valda died to arrogance, and Galad's having enough strategy. Like, it's something to be said for Galad being smart enough to see that he can play Valda's experience and confidence or arrogance against him and
Right.
use it to win the fight. But to do it, he's going to have to get fucked up for a minute, and he does.
Which, again, you're not wrong. Like that, nowhere in
So-
this, I don't think, is Galad not an extremely talented fighter.
Which is the second time we see a Blade Master lose to their own arrogance.
Yeah.
Because Turok, after fighting Rand for just a few moments, realizes he didn't earn the fucking hero mark. He's not a Blade Master. He doesn't know what he's doing. And that's about the time that he makes a fatal mistake. And Rand's like, oh, cool. I had one lesson from Land that was perfectly for this exact fuck up. Dead. And then the fucking servants went, well, fuck. Now I got to go walk like an Egyptian and kill myself to serve
Guess
him
I'll
in the
die now.
afterlife. Like that. So that's now 2 Blade Masters, both of which are absolute fucking disgusting people. But 2 Blade Masters now that they died. 2 people that should not have beat them because of their own arrogance, because of their own overconfidence in their own ability and their own status as a Blade Master. Which again, it's a tale as old as time in fantasy. Like take Harry Potter, the fucking older brother that gets the elder one. It's like nobody can beat me, nobody can beat me. Goes to sleep and dies in his sleep.
Yeah.
Like you fucked up. Like you could have set wards to wake yourself up, but you were so arrogant that you couldn't lose. You didn't do that, so you died.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And then fucking an asshole like Dumbledore winds up with the Elder Wand.
Wow.
See? Even the dog's pissed about it.
And the dog.
Someone's dog is pissed off that you're talking shit about Dumbledore is what it is.
Well, Dumbledore was a piece of shit.
He was.
My receptionist.
You can be very skilled and talented and still be a piece of shit. Look at Valda.
Ayo.
Look at Gollum. Skill, talent, absolutely wasted.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so in final thoughts and wrapping this up here, is channeling, is it really that much more common? Do we have characters in here who can channel and we just don't know? I think it's a good debate to have. I really do, because so many times channelers have been channeling for years and didn't even realize that's what they were doing. So, you know, it's one of those things that you go, hey,
Yeah. You know,
it's a good debate. It's a good discussion. So
I think it's interesting because, you know, in the books, even in the shows, we've got the Shanshan walking around finding the women that can channel that don't know they can channel.
mm-hmm.
You know, even in this last episode, we saw women in the 2 rivers that can channel that didn't
Didn't even know.
they could channel.
And
from
then
the time they were children, but we
all of
don't
a sudden
have
could
that
channel
happening
perfectly.
for men. Yeah, but we don't have that happening for men. There are not people going around and checking this for men.
That's
You know,
true.
we don't have, because it's such a you know, it's got such a negative connotation to it. Of course, you're gonna go crazy. But you know, just like we've got the women who have the ability to learn but won't necessarily channel on their own, we've got to have those men out there. We just don't have people going around and checking. And so I think it's one of those things that it's far more common than we assume, just because we've never really looked for it. Once you start looking for something, you see it everywhere. I mean, that's as common as like, oh, once you start looking for a Toyota Corolla, you see one every single time you go out on the road.
You're not wrong.
As soon as
Walking
you-
around, turn your head, cough, now embrace Sidine. All right, good.
Oh, Andrew, what are your final thoughts here?
Well, were you done, Reese? Because I know I kind of cut in.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I just like doing that because it makes Josh look like an asshole and makes me look nice.
motherfucker. We're going to talk about this at JordanCon.
I'm going to talk about it not at JordanCon, but I
Talk about whatever you want. Doesn't mean I'm
all
going to
this
listen.
time anyways. So
No, I think there's definitely. It would stand to reason that there would absolutely be, especially men that had the chance or the ability to learn to channel, that we don't ever see use it, or that we just don't ever see. Period. I mean, there's got to be so many out in the world, but the men, it's harder to find men that can channel, because women that can channel have the ability to they can see, like visually tell just on a glance if another woman can channel, which is a great bonus to finding other channelers, a massive hindrance when you're trying to hide the fact that you can channel. So, you know, that sucks. Men, on the other hand, like you have to actively test them. There is no visual indicator that they're channeling, and the only like indicator I think they really talk about is don't the females get like the goosebumps or whatever when they're next to a man that's embracing the source or
No,
near enough.
men get goosebumps
I
when
know
women
men get goosebumps, but women don't get any indication at
women
all.
get nothing.
Oh man, they're even
I
super
thought,
nerfed, man.
I
That fucking
thought some
sucks.
women did. I thought it was like a rare thing, almost like the talent for seeing Taviran, that some women got like chills. I thought that.
I think people just in general get chills when a man can channel.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, because that's why Cat Swain has to have the fucking paralysis net.
Yeah, she's got
attachment.
a Terangriel that points it out.
But what's this? They can, but not passively. Oh, okay. There's weaves that they can use that will allow them to detect it, so they can't passively detect it.
Right.
But they can see the results of channeling and flows and know that
So it's not like they can walk past somebody with an ability and be like, "Oh, hello," you know.
Yeah. How many times is the word weave used in this fucking article?
You better
We see a
believe
black
it.
sister later being in the group who would test such a weave, Moria, I think. There are weaves that do that, and we're shown one in the book. Varen is just being very cautious for at least 3 good reasons. She knows Forsaken are out and they can detect the men channeling. She doesn't know the capability of the Shan-Chen channelers. Blah, 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 blah. So, but yeah, there's so just not passively, but they actively can.
I have to appreciate Baron. I feel like Baron is how I would operate. Like her, like always having these weaves up to just check if somebody else is doing something shady. It's like, yeah, I feel like that's what I would be doing if I were.
It's like in Hogwarts Legacy, running around and casting Revelio everywhere. Revelio. Take 5 steps. Revelio.
Having 7 security cameras around my property.
Exactly.
But
Revelio.
I think of the ones we discussed, I think the best case made is for Galad. I think like that has the best evidence for it.
So Massim is just batshit insane.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're that. I'm just saying that Galad has the best
2 things
evidence.
can be true.
Masima, I think if he can or has the ability to potentially learn, there's more going on with that. The Forsaken are fucking around with his tap water, and they're feeding him directly from like Flint, Michigan. So he's going insane.
Which still has nasty water, by the way.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Somebody should, really fix that. Like people that are responsible for it that haven't done it for the past how many administrations? Crazy. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's a cool idea to explore. I mean, there's got to be a ton of people out there that can only channel like a very small amount, especially like on the male side, because you're gonna have such a drastic difference in the scale of channelers on the male side because they've been called out for the last 3,000 fucking years. You got incredibly strong channelers like fucking Rand and all these other fuckers at the Black Tower, but then you got like the super weak ones, except for like special use cases like Andral. How many soldiers just couldn't channel enough to pass Taim's test, got sent away rather than being dealt with, and are now running around with like the barest of physical augmentations, fighting with like a spear.
And alongside that, there are the talents, capital T, that run like channeling adjacent, like Min and Perrin. How many people like that are out there that have not been picked up that can do these different things? Like how many dreamers are out there that we haven't found? How many wolf brothers are out there that we haven't found? How many other people have different talents that we haven't found because they don't want to admit it? Maybe they even think that these talents are channeling, so they don't tell anybody.
Well, in the books, that's why Min doesn't want to be at the White Tower, because the Aes Sedai are convinced it has something to do with channeling.
It's true.
Shocker, the Aes Sedai are wrong. Big surprise there.
Men that can do what men can do. Are there other people out there that have visions that could have, like, what if we had a whole, like, group of mins together that
I
could have,
am
like,
so
told us
shocked.
exactly what to do for them?
I think Min is only the outlier because, like, she had a family that took her seriously and was like, we can profit off of this. Everybody else is just like, oh, you're just crazy.
Yeah.
That's not real.
Well,
You're seeing imaginary things. And then eventually they just kept their fucking mouth shut.
that's what happened to Noel as the Wolf brother. Like, it's
Mhm.
exactly what happened to him. Nobody understood what was going on, and he went full wolf.
You never go full wolf.
Never go full wolf. That's exactly where I was going with that. Thank you. On that note, after we've done about 14
I'm a
different things,
Taviran
that could get us
disguised as a
canceled,
Taviran playing another Taviran.
thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for looking so good. We want to say thank you because you're
Barbecue
awesome.
sauce
We
is
love
so
you.
bad.
And from all of us here at the Black Tower, my name is Josh, and I hope you leave here just a little bit more insane than you were when you first got here.
My name's Andrew. I don't really care how you leave or come. Like, do you live your life? Just not on me.
Well, I'm Reese, and I very much care how you come. Don't much care how you leave.
Just as long as you do. Preferably soon after.
God damn it.
Get the biggest loads, the greatest loads.
No, stop. That's it. We're done. We're done. End the stream. Close it down. Shut it down.
Okay.
You've been waiting for this moment, for this feeling to grow. In the shadows, always watching, always running the show. In the tower, you can bring your pain. In the tower, you can feel the strain. You've been having so much trouble